What's up, guys? We got one here from Cosmic Verse. Wife gets pregnant by another man and expects husband to take care of it. Yeah, I don't think so. Well, let's get into it.
The audacity, bruh. Still be in my house and she pregnant by another dude.
Why does it matter? You with different girls all the time.
What you mean? What you mean?
You with different women all the time.
I ain't with no different women all the time. And if I was, I ain't got nobody pregnant though. I ain't got nobody pregnant though. Okay. Okay. Yeah.
What do you mean?
Yeah. You gotta get out of my house.
I'm not going
You gotta get out of my house. You gotta get out of my house. All that stuff coming out. It's gonna be all that stuff gonna be out. Hey, don't walk up on me. Everybody gonna see this too. This what it look like, bruh. She wanna stay in my crib and she pregnant by another dude. Oh man, hey.
So she's pregnant by another dude, but still squatting in your house. Man, talk about a plot twist. She's already house hopping to her new guy, but you're the one supposed to foot the bill? I don't think so. It's like playing Monopoly, but she's got a get out of accountability free card. I mean, why are rules always man pays, man stays? I'm calling bullshit on the equality everyone keeps harping about. You kick her out and suddenly you're the villain. Meanwhile, she's pulling social media spectacle. I mean, classic, right?
Nothing is funnier to me than when men complain that women only want the top 1% of financially successful men.
Why is that funny? If we're to believe this, it would seem that 99% of the men out there don't have a chance with the majority of women who have these sorts of expectations.
When women have been subjected to unrealistic beauty standards for like what? At least a century.
And apparently this is a competition of who has it worse.
The rise of plastic surgery, the rise of EDs, all because men only want to date the top 1% of beautiful women.
Well, if that were the case, then the majority of women, 99% of them, would never have a date or any kind of relationship.
Like if hypocrisy could pay my motherfucking bills.
I have a feeling it does.
Women are superficial for going after the wrong qualities in men.
That's actually the definition of what superficial is. Only going after those qualities that are on the surface, like money and appearance. Do they not teach these things in school anymore?
The happiest groups of people by demographic are single women and married men. Google it, baby.
Is Google a verifiable source of research material now?
So what does that tell us, class? That marrying the wrong man depletes you. You are better off to be alone for the rest of your life than to settle for a scrub.
Then there should be a lot of happy women out there. But social media says otherwise.
Women have to be subjected to looking in the mirror for the majority of their life and feeling like they're not good enough. Then I feel like that guy can work a few extra hours at the office.
I think we're about to see the rise of happy single men.
You know, I mean, here we go. It's the classic men only want the 1% of women argument, flipped to make men out to be the bad guy. How shallow is it for men to want a girl, who takes care of herself, but if a woman demands a man with 6 figures, 6'5", 6-pack abs, 6-inch or more package, that's just standard. If everyone's shooting for the top 1%, then yeah, 99% are going to be left unread, unless you're a woman, it's a different story. That's not a men versus woman issue. That's a supply versus demand issue. Google it. In this little game, men have been over it for a while now, and that's why there's a rise in happy single guys. Checkmate.
All eyes on me. Horrified looks from...
When I left my husband and got pregnant from another man 1 month later. Garden tool.
everyone in the room.
I'm pregnant, but my husband doesn't know that. What? Being your husband, he will have the responsibility to take care of your child, even if he is aware that he is not the dad? Nobody can question you, and the law is there to support you? What law? Okay, maybe it'll make sense if I read the whole thing. As a precaution, frame some false case against your husband so that if he plans to move legally, you can counter it with this. Contact any female lawyer and make sure she is a feminist so that she can help you more sincerely. If he acts more smart, then go for a divorce and claim good alimony and maintenance so that he can't marry again with his financial capability. Being a feminist, I wish you all success for your fight against the men. What? This is a joke, right?
Same thing my wife says when she hears stuff like this. But now there's this playbook for cheating wives. I mean, frame your husband, lawyer up with a feminist attorney, and snag alimony to bankrupt them. This feels less like marriage and more like organized crime. But the law's got your back on this one. I mean, that's right, men. Take note. The court's not looking out for you. It's looking out for who screams victim the loudest, and the victim is the woman. The entire system's rigged, and someone's going to need to check if there's a conspiracy fund for this divorce strategy because it's making bank.
I would give the pain a 10.
A lot of people do tell you it's not that bad and things like that, but me personally, it hurt it really, 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 really bad.
Well, I got pregnant by another man while being married. How did I know this? We were sleeping around. I got pregnant, but I didn't know who the baby daddy was. But again, I did my calculations, and my husband and I weren't really having, so it ended up being the boy's baby. Well, we talked about it, and neither of us wanted to have this baby because he was in a relationship as well. But he always told me that whatever I decided, he would agree with it. I decided I didn't want to have this baby just because I was already basically tied down to a man. I didn't want to be tied down to another man. So I decided to get an abortion, and I had my husband pay for it, told him it was his. And this man is so stupid that he actually believed me, even though we weren't having sex for about 2 months. Long story short, I ended up divorcing him and never talked to the boy either.
So she's pregnant by her side piece, convinces her husband to foot the abortion bill, and walks away with a divorce. That's just fucked up. And she considers that a win. I mean, you couldn't script this better if it were a sitcom. I mean, we're talking Jerry Springer shit here at this point. What's crazy is the husband was as clueless as a fish in a barrel, and women wonder why guys are getting wise to marriage. I mean, do you think she'd even get an ounce of sympathy if the roles were reversed? Hell no. Just another example of how laws in society bend over backwards for all these stunts, and while making guys the automatic villains.
She said, no, there's something that I need to tell you. And I said, is it bad? And she said, yes. And I said, is it about the marriage? And she said, yes. And then we began to drive back. And I had this sinking feeling in me. And we drove for about 5 minutes in silence. And then I went to put my hand on her lap. And she said, don't. Don't touch me. Because you won't want to after I've told you what's happened. And I said, what's happened? And she said, I've been having an affair with a man from work. And I remember just tears began to stream. I didn't move, completely motionless. Tears began to stream. And then she said, and that's not all. And she said, I'm pregnant with this child. And in that moment, I felt like I lost a lot. I'd lost my wife. I'd lost the life we created. I'd lost the dog, our home, my parents-in-law, her family, everything that I'd really held dear. If someone said, what makes a meaningful life? I would have described these things. And it felt like they just came snatched away, just came crumbling down like a house of cards.
This guy finds out his wife's pregnant with another man's kid, and his whole life unravels. I feel him. Everything he's worked for, marriage, home, the dog, it's all gone in seconds. And the kicker, she was doing it with their coworker, or some people like to call it her work wife or work husband. Regardless, to me, it's bullshit. This is what happens when the family unit gets shredded to pieces by social media hookup culture and, of course, no-fault divorce laws. Suddenly forever means until someone more exciting DMs me. And while he's the one left to pick up the pieces, she gets to play the victim. I mean, how's that for justice?
I observed this particular case where a married woman got pregnant by another man who wasn't her husband. And this is the thing, right? So the married woman had got pregnant by someone else that wasn't her husband. But they were separated. But now they got back together. So then the biological father was trying to see what he could do to get his rights as the father recognized in the state of North Carolina. So this is the thing. In North Carolina, if a baby is born during a marriage, the husband is automatically assumed to be the father. However, this wasn't the case. And so when there is an incident like this, you have to do what is called an affidavit of parentage. And the husband has to sign off and say that he's not the father. And you have to do a DNA test. But there are some times when people like to hide who the father is. And what the biological father can do is serve the mother and the husband with paperwork. Now that's juicy.
So North Carolina law assumes the husband is the dad if the wife pops out a kid during marriage. But if it's the other baby's guy, well, too bad. The poor biological dad's left jumping through hoops while the husband automatically is assumed to be daddy-o. And if you need a DNA test, better hope everyone's cool with it. Otherwise, you're stuck paying. You know, this system is as backwards as it gets. They say the truth will set you free, except when the law's involved. This whole situation's a textbook example of how society's designed to keep men paying, regardless of biology.
You're a loser. You're a loser.
Wow.
How am I supposed to be with you when I got these men all the time in my DMs offering me luxury cruises, mansions, all this different stuff, and then I come home to you playing video games in your underwear?
It was good when we first started dating.
That's 7 years ago. I've grown as a person, and you haven't. I've outgrown you.
Wow. So after all these years, you have to tell me that about getting pregnant by another man? We couldn't separate we couldn't have this conversation before we got to this part.
Things happen, but
I had to find out you was pregnant.
You weren't taking
How low
care
of you?
of me.
That's low.
You were not. The bottom line is that you were not taking care of
I'm
me.
a hard-working man.
I get another man's arms.
I'm a hard-working man. I gave you everything you asked for me. What more you want?
I'm in here splitting half of these bills. You're not taking care of me.
The rent is $4,000.
So? A real man could pay.
I want to know where the hell you live where rent's $4,000. Must be California, because, you know, everything's 40 times more than what it needs to be. But you got a guy here playing video games isn't a real man because he doesn't have a mansion and a yacht to match her upgraded standards. I mean, yeah, 7 years together, but now she's all about those DM offers for cruises and luxury. The reality is guys who provide, who actually care, are just stepping stones until something flashier comes along. She wants him to work harder to pay her rent. Meanwhile, she imagines herself with a real man. It's a one-way ticket to Delusion City. I mean, look, here's the bottom line. I mean, today's system makes a guy invest in something with zero guarantees and a high probability of burnout. I mean, marriage, rigged, dating, commercialized, and the laws are practically built to bleed men dry. The family unit's been gutted mostly thanks to the money grabbers upstairs who want people buying stuff, not building real connections. And social media, that's like a match to the gasoline, which is hookup culture. You know, so what's the fix? I mean, first, know the law and don't go in blind. Second, set boundaries and don't bend just to please someone. You know, if the game's rigged, then rewrite the rules, because there's no point to trying to build a life with someone who's just waiting for a better offer to roll in. Anyways, guys, that's the end of the video here. If you like what you've seen, hit that like button, share, subscribe, all that fun stuff. Drop a comment down below. This video, when you guys see it, I'm going to be actually on my way to Poland for a few days, go see my wife's family, and all the other videos will look like I'm at home, but I'm really not at home. Anyways, catch you guys later. Peace.